Welcome to the Vertical Sky Journal, the podcast that brings you everything you could ever want to know about Kilimanjaro. The climbing and the fitness, altitude and nutrition, the environment, the wildlife, and the people at the heart of the mountain. Today, in our Life on the Mountain series, the question where the truth most outperforms the expectation. What do you actually eat up there? Spoiler. People photograph their dinner on night one.
They really do. I think before you even pack your duffel bag or, take that first step onto the trail, you have this highly vivid, rather grim image in your mind of what eating on a high-altitude expedition is going to look like.
Oh, absolutely. You sort of picture, a week of relentless, joyless chewing.
Exactly.
The standard expectation involves tearing open these foil ration packs, squeezing lukewarm energy gels out of plastic tubes.
Right? Or sharing a single sad piece of dried fruit while sitting on a cold rock.
Yeah, exactly. The assumption is just that you must sacrifice culinary comfort entirely, just for the sake of reaching the summit.
And that expectation is incredibly persistent. Yet, the reality on a properly run climb, well, it rewrites the entire script of your expedition.
It really does.
Because when you arrive at camp on your very first night, you don't sit on a cold rock. You step inside a dedicated dining tent, you pull up a chair to a proper table, and you are served a hot soup course.
Which is always a complete shock to people.
It is, and that's followed by a properly cooked main meal and then fresh fruit. All of this prepared by a dedicated mountain chef working in a separate, fully functioning kitchen tent.
I always love watching the disbelief on climbers' faces during that first meal. You brace yourself for this exercise in survivalist foraging, and instead you receive an alpine restaurant service.
That's brilliant, doesn't it?
It's incredible. I marvel at the logistical magic required to achieve that contrast. It feels entirely impossible that you are eating, fresh vegetables and perfectly cooked meats at 4,000 meters.
Well, we have to explore exactly how that alpine restaurant service is actually transported up the slopes, because every single climb travels with its own dedicated infrastructure.
Right.
So we are talking about a specific mountain chef, a tailored kitchen tent, and a highly skilled team of porters whose sole responsibility is carrying fresh produce.
And they're carrying vegetables, fresh fruit, bread, meat.
And incredibly fragile eggs.
Yes, fragile eggs all the way up the mountain trails. We aren't talking about rehydrating powders with boiling water here. Every single meal is cooked fresh, completely from scratch, right at the camp.
Which brings us to a fundamental pillar of this entire operation. The standard of cooking is not merely about culinary pride or providing a luxury experience.
No, not at all.
It's an absolute non-negotiable safety requirement. Rooted in rigorous hygiene. Every single drop of water is meticulously purified before it goes anywhere near you.
Whether it's for drinking, cooking, or just washing ingredients.
Exactly. The fresh produce is washed and handled flawlessly.
I want to emphasize why that matters so much to anyone listening. Hygiene on the mountain is treated with the exact same seriousness as your daily medical checks.
Spot on.
A stomach upset at altitude is never just a passing nuisance. It's a definitive summit ender.
It is. When you are above 3,000 or 4,000 meters, your body is already working incredibly hard simply to adapt to the thin air. It's diverting immense amounts of energy to your brain and lungs.
You simply don't have the spare physiological reserves to fight off a preventable bacterial illness.
No, you don't. And, the food is being prepared at an elevation higher than most commercial airplanes cruise on their initial climb out from the runway.
Which is just a mad concept when you think about it.
It's staggering. Ensuring you are fueled safely and correctly for the immense physical demands of the day is a monumental task. And those physical demands begin early, which means the eating has to begin early.
The morning routine is a wonderful transition, though, from the bitter cold of the night into the active day. You're woken up in your tent by the crew, and they bring a hot drink directly to you.
It's a lifesaver, genuinely.
It is. It's a gentle, warming start before you even have to face unzipping your sleeping bag and dealing with the frost.
And following that, you make your way to the dining tent for breakfast, which is, well, it's an incredibly substantial affair.
You will find hot porridge, eggs cooked exactly to your order, sausages, toast, fresh fruit, and an endless supply of tea and coffee.
And pancakes on a good day.
Oh yes, pancakes on a good day. But the meal is deliberately heavy and rich in energy because the walking starts within the hour.
Now, I know you might be listening to this and thinking there is no way you could force down a massive bowl of porridge and sausages at 6 in the morning in freezing temperatures.
Most people's stomachs would probably agree with them.
They would. But you have to reframe how you view this meal.
I do have to challenge the logic of a heavy breakfast here, just to play devil's advocate. If I'm about to set off on a steep, grueling climb, surely eating a massive plate of food is counterproductive.
At sea level, you'd be entirely correct.
Right, because if I ate a huge cooked breakfast at home and immediately went for a strenuous hike, I'd feel terrible. I'd be sluggish. Doesn't digesting all that food steal blood away from your legs when you need it most?
It would down here. But altitude changes the metabolic math completely. At 4,000 meters, your basal metabolic rate skyrockets.
You are burning an astonishing number of calories just to stay warm.
Just to stay warm and oxygenated exactly before you even take a single step up the trail. So you require that immediate slow-release energy from the porridge and the protein from the eggs to power you through the initial ascent.
You're building your literal fuel tank for the morning.
Precisely. And by the time midday arrives, you have burned through a significant portion of those calories. Depending on the route and the specific shape of the day's hike, lunch takes one of two rather impressive forms.
Sometimes it's a hot-cooked meal at a dedicated lunch spot.
Which is always a treat.
It is. And on those days, the crew genuinely carries a full dining table and chairs up the mountain, setting them up for you in the middle of the wilderness.
It's a surreal and brilliant sight.
Completely surreal. Alternatively, if the day requires a continuous push, you receive a generous packed lunch to eat on the trail.
And in that scenario, you are eating your meal with a panoramic view of the clouds beneath you that absolutely no restaurant in the world will ever match.
Never. Whether it's a hot meal at a table or a packed lunch on a ridge, it always arrives with hot drinks. But here is where the mental challenge of high-altitude nutrition truly begins.
Yes.
You must eat all of it, even on the days when the altitude begins to whisper otherwise.
And it will whisper. The sheer willpower required to consume a massive lunch when you are physically exhausted and gaining altitude is remarkable.
You might feel breathless, your muscles ache.
Your natural instinct is just to sip some water, close your eyes, and rest.
But if you fail to fill the tank at midday, the engine will inevitably falter during the afternoon hike.
It will. Pushing through those afternoon hours requires immense endurance. But, the transition from that grueling time on the trail into the evening brings us to one of the most vital and beloved moments of the day.
Oh, afternoon tea.
Yes. When you finally arrive at the next camp, the heavy lifting is finished. Your tent is already pitched and waiting for you.
And waiting inside the dining tent is the small ceremony that every single Kilimanjaro climber remembers forever.
They really do. You walk in, take off your heavy, dusty boots, and you find fresh popcorn, biscuits, and hot chai.
On paper, it sounds like nothing. If you were offered popcorn and tea at home on a random Tuesday, you'd barely register it.
At 4,000 meters, after 6 hours of relentless walking through challenging terrain, it is somehow everything.
It really is.
It provides immense physiological and psychological relief. It's this perfect intersection of absolute physical exhaustion and unexpected comfort. In fact, a passionate debate takes place in our dining tents almost nightly regarding this specific snack.
Ah, the great popcorn debate. It's a brilliant tradition. Climbers sit around the table, holding their hot mugs of chai in both hands just to absorb the warmth. And they seriously question whether popcorn has ever tasted better anywhere else on Earth.
And the consensus is always that it hasn't. It perfectly captures the transition from the day's exertion to the evening's recovery.
That afternoon tea provides a wonderful psychological bridge, but it's ultimately just a placeholder, isn't it?
It is. The real recovery is anchored by the most critical meal of the day. Dinner is the foundation of your recuperation and your preparation for the following morning. And it always, without fail, opens exactly the same way.
It begins with a hot soup course. The chef prepares a different variety each night to keep the palate engaged. So it might be cucumber, leek, pumpkin, or a warming carrot and ginger soup.
And following the soup, the main courses are brought to the table. These are incredibly hearty portions designed to replenish depleted muscles.
You'll be served pasta, rice or potatoes, paired with chicken, beef, or rich vegetable stews and curries. And the meal is then finished with fresh fruit.
The portions are deliberately huge because your body's burning an enormous amount of energy simply staying warm in the frigid mountain air. The chef's primary job is to ensure the tank is completely full before you go to sleep.
Which brings us to a significant biological hurdle, and perhaps the most important concept we must explore regarding life on the mountain. We have to address the honest truth about the altitude appetite problem.
Yes, this is crucial. Somewhere above 4,000 meters, most climbers find their appetite simply fade away.
It's a completely normal physiological effect of altitude driven by hypoxia.
Exactly. Your body detects the lower oxygen levels in the air and immediately goes into a state of triage. It prioritizes delivering oxygenated blood to your brain and your critical muscles.
And to achieve this, it deprioritizes non-essential functions. And the digestive system is incredibly energy intensive.
It is. To process a heavy meal, your stomach requires a massive supply of blood. At altitude, your brain simply decides it needs that oxygen more than your stomach does, so it shuts down the hunger signals.
You genuinely stop feeling hungry. It's a bizarre paradox where you need the calories more than you ever have in your life, but your body actively prevents you from wanting them.
It's a normal reaction, but it's genuinely dangerous to obey that feeling. Climbers who stop eating and drinking at altitude deteriorate very rapidly.
You cannot rely on your natural hunger cues up there. Your stomach might tell you that you are full, or you might even feel slightly nauseous, but your muscles are entirely depleted.
Which is exactly where the menu transforms from a culinary experience into a calculated survival strategy. It's actively engineered against altitude sickness.
If I understand this correctly, that opening soup course isn't just a culinary nicety. It's essentially an intravenous drip disguised as a starter.
Precisely. It provides warm, salty liquid calories that easily slip past a reluctant stomach. The salt helps your body retain moisture, and the warm liquid immediately begins rehydrating your system and gently opening the digestive tract.
And it demands very little energy to process.
Exactly. It primes the system perfectly. Once the sap is down, you move on to the carbohydrates. There is a very specific scientific reason why the chef serves so much pasta, rice, and potatoes.
Because carbohydrates are exactly what the altitude demands. They require significantly less oxygen to metabolize than fats or proteins.
Spot on. They are generally what a suppressed appetite can tolerate best. The chef also deliberately avoids novelty at this altitude. Familiar comfort flavors rule the menu.
Because when eating feels like a chore, you don't want to be challenged by complex, unfamiliar culinary experiments.
No, you want something that tastes like home, something easy and comforting to eat.
And the dynamic in the dining tent during dinner is quite beautiful to witness. The guides watch every single plate with the gentle persistence of grandmothers.
They do. They aren't just making sure you enjoy the meal, they are doing mental calculations on your caloric intake. They notice who has finished their rice and who is merely pushing their stew around the bowl.
They understand that ensuring you eat is just as important as ensuring you step carefully on the rocky trails.
They will kindly but firmly encourage you to take another serving of potatoes.
That covers the chef's grand plan. But what happens when a climber simply cannot eat the standard menu? Suppose someone is vegetarian, vegan, or has a severe allergy. The gaps the kitchen cannot fill with the standard menu are a major point of anxiety for many climbers before they arrive.
And it shouldn't be, because the mountain kitchens handle specific dietary requirements properly and professionally. We're talking about vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, halal, and allergy-aware menus.
These are accommodated seamlessly rather than grudgingly with a scraped-together alternative. The chef plans your specific menu alongside everyone else's.
The only absolute requirement to make this work is advance notice. You must inform the team at the time of booking and provide a clear reminder before departure.
That allows the operator to source the correct ingredients down in the town and ensures the porters carry the exact right provisions up the mountain specifically for you.
There is, however, one strict exception to the rule of dietary accommodation. Fussiness is absolutely not accommodated on summit night.
No. When you are pushing for the peak in the freezing dark, the biological imperative overrides preference entirely.
The rule for everyone is identical. Consume something warm, consume something sweet, and keep moving.
Which brings us to what you should pack for yourself. The kitchen handles the major meals, but your pockets handle the gaps between them. You must bring trail snacks that you genuinely love.
Yes. Bring your absolute favorite chocolate, specific sweets, preferred nuts, or energy bars from home. Do not bring overly healthy snacks that you merely tolerate at sea level.
Right. If you only force down a particular dense oat bar at home because it's good for you, you will absolutely despise it at 5,000 meters.
You will. Familiar, beloved, unhealthy treats get calories into your system when absolutely nothing else appeals.
Crystallized ginger is a dual-purpose miracle in this regard. It earns its place in your day pack twice over. It serves as a sharp, sweet treat to boost your blood sugar, and it's a renowned natural remedy for nausea.
It's fantastic. When the altitude makes you feel slightly queasy, chewing a piece of ginger can settle your stomach just enough to keep you moving.
And think about the concept of 3 a.m. morale on summit night. You are climbing in the pitch black, the wind is howling, it's bitterly cold, and you are pushing your absolute physical limits.
Reaching into an inside pocket where your snacks have been kept from freezing against your body warmth and pulling out a piece of your favorite chocolate provides a psychological boost that no chef's menu could ever plan for.
It's a small piece of comfort in the middle of an immense hostile challenge. It reminds you that warmth and energy still exist, giving you the mental push required to take the next step.
It does. And I think we should bring all these themes together into one central philosophy, the golden rule of eating on Kilimanjaro. On a properly run climb, the food is one of the great surprises of the trip. The kitchen is a core part of the safety system.
Eating is not a break from the climb. Eating is climbing. When the guides tell you to finish your soup or offer you another serving of potatoes, it's summit advice disguised as table manners. You have to treat every calorie as a step towards the peak.
And before we finish, consider how this environment changes your perspective entirely. Spending a week viewing food purely as vital fuel rather than just casual entertainment alters your relationship with what you consume. It's fascinating to return to sea level and realize how the extreme physical demands of the mountain strip away our modern dietary complexities, leaving only the purest mechanics of survival and endurance.
Come hungry, eat everything put in front of you, and absolutely engage in the nightly popcorn debate.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, do subscribe so you never miss the latest from the Vertical Sky Journal. You will find a full written version of this episode over on our journal at vertical-sky.com, and we would love you to come and say hello on Instagram, where we are at verticalskytzw. Until next time, pole, and keep dreaming of the mountain.